All right, so today we're going to dive into this incredible story from the Quran. It's this timeless parable, really, about a community that's, well, they're put to the test after a terrible crime happens. And it's got so much to teach us about justice, about responsibility, and, what happens when we try to dodge the cost of keeping the peace. So let's get right into it. So the story kicks off, and it's really direct. A man is murdered, just like that. A life is gone, and the whole community is just thrown into chaos. And this one act, this single act of violence, it becomes the ultimate test, right? A test of their character, of their promises, of everything they're supposed to stand for.
And that leads us to the big question, right? When something that's terrible happens, whose job is it to make things right? Who has to uphold justice? Is it just the leaders? Maybe the victim's family? Or is it everyone? A duty that falls on every single person in that community? Well, this story makes it pretty clear it's the last one.
So what happens next isn't your typical CSI-style investigation. Nope. Instead, they get a command, a divine instruction, coming through their prophet Musa. And it is not what you'd expect. It's designed to be a test, a way to see what they're really made of.
And here it is. The command from God is, sacrifice a cow. Yeah, you heard that right. Sacrifice a cow, and somehow that's going to reveal the killer. Now, the point here wasn't really about the how or the logic of it. The real test was simple. Would they obey? Would they step up and contribute to justice without arguing about it?
So you think they'd jump right on it, right? Well, not exactly. Their response was basically a masterclass in avoidance. It's actually a fascinating look into how we try to get out of doing something we're supposed to do.
So what's the first thing they say? Are you joking with us, Musa? Can you believe it? Their first reaction is just mockery. Total disbelief. A cow for a murder? You gotta be kidding me. Right away, you see this total lack of respect, this deep-seated refusal to just accept the command. They start with ridicule, not faith. And you can see their whole strategy laid out here. It wasn't just a one-off comment, it was a pattern. First, you have the mockery and ridicule. Then they move on to all these delaying tactics. Then comes the excessive questioning. We'll get into that, which was really just another way to stall. And it all leads up to this final super reluctant compliance, only when they had no other choice.
Okay, this is so key, because not all questions are created equal, right? There's a huge difference between asking something because you genuinely want to understand and do a better job, and asking something to find a loophole, a way out. And their questions, they were absolutely the second kind. They weren't sincere, they were designed to just delay and escape.
So they start grilling him with details. Okay, what kind of cow exactly? What color is it? How old should it be? And with every single question, you can just feel what they're hoping for. They're hoping the description gets so ridiculously specific that it won't match any of their cows. You can almost hear them thinking, phew, mine's brown, not yellow. I'm off the hook. The whole goal was to avoid any personal sacrifice.
And if you boil down all those questions, what's underneath it all? It's this one simple, selfish thought. Why my cow? Why should I be the one to sacrifice? This is the heart of the problem. Everyone agrees, yeah, justice needs to be served, but nobody wants to be the one to pay for it. And let's be honest, that's a feeling we can all recognize, can't we? Why me? Why can't someone else do it?
Okay, so this constant game of avoidance, it's not just about what they're doing on the outside. It starts to have a really serious, dangerous effect on them spiritually, on the inside.
And the text describes this consequence as a hardening of the heart. It's like a spiritual sickness. It's what happens when your love for your own stuff, your own comfort, becomes so big that you literally can't feel for other people anymore. You lose that sense of duty to the community, to what's right.
And the metaphor used is just so powerful. It says, their hearts became harder than stone. Think about that, because as the scripture points out, even from some stones, water gushes out. But their hearts, they became completely sealed off, impenetrable. Nothing could get in. Not God's command, not the needs of their own neighbor.
So, what's the big lesson here? What can we pull from this ancient story? Well, it's got this totally universal lesson about what justice really is. And it's just as true for us today as it was for them back then.
And it boils down to this. Justice is not free. It always, always demands a price. It's not some abstract idea that just magically appears. It has to be paid for. It demands sacrifice, whether that's our time, our money, our comfort. You just can't have a healthy, just society unless people are willing to chip in. And this story just nails these core ideas. First, justice requires personal sacrifice. It just does. Second,
Peace isn't a solo act, it's a group project. It takes a collective commitment. The well-being of the whole community depends on what each individual is willing to contribute. And maybe most importantly, trying to dodge that duty, it doesn't just hurt the community, it has a real spiritual cost for us.
So in the end, yeah, they do it. They find the cow, they make the sacrifice. But here's the thing. Their obedience didn't come from a place of faith. It wasn't sincere. It only happened after they had run out of every possible excuse. They did it because they were backed into a corner, not because they actually wanted to do the right thing.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. For ourselves, in our own lives, for our families, for our communities, for the things we claim to believe in, what's the cow that we're being asked to sacrifice? Is it our time? Our money? Maybe just our ego? And the real question is, when that call comes, are we answering it with a full heart, or are we already looking for the exit?